When the Philippines was under the Americans, leprosy was singled out as a significant health problem in the country, and Culion Island was identified as the place for persons afflicted with the disease and where a leprosarium would be built. In 1907, the administration passed a law to provide for the compulsory apprehension, segregation, and detention of people with leprosy. Thousands of people with leprosy were brought to Culion from there on. From 1914 to 1921, Culion was the largest leprosy colony in the world.
So at one point, I have said 1937, we have 7,000 people here live. By 1928, starting 1930, there's also a regional sanitary established all around the Philippines. In 1964, there is a law now of the liberalizations of the treatment of leprosy. That means if you have leprosy, you don't need anymore to be sent to Culion or to be put into the sanitarium. And by 1980s, especially 1985 or 1982 to be exact, there was already a recommendations by World Health Organizations for a new treatment of leprosy using combined antibacterial drugs, Dapsone, clofazimine, and rifampicin. By 1988, by using WHO standard, Culion was able already to eliminate leprosy as a public health problem.
When my father had brought me to a hospital he had funded for a leprosy patient, I was shocked at their appearance. Abandoned by their families, they were devoid of hopes and dreams. I have always been healthy, and it came as a shock to me to learn there were people who were segregated from society. This is when I decided to continue my father's mission to eliminate leprosy from the world. I took the decision to fund the free supply of multi-drug therapy for 5 years, from 1995 to 1999, in order to accelerate efforts against the disease. This contributed to a dramatic decrease in the number of patients. At that time, leprosy was not treated as an issue of human rights. However, I strongly felt that it was very important not only to treat the disease, but also to address its social consequences, because the human rights of persons with leprosy and also of their family members were being violated. I felt I had a mission to cure people of this disease and to restore their human rights.
Mr. Sasakawa is not just the president of the Nippon Foundation, but he is also WHO Goodwill Ambassador for leprosy elimination. And the Nippon Foundations pioneered the provision of free treatment for people with leprosy in the 1980s, and this was a game changer. More than 16 million people with leprosy have received MDT treatment, and in 2000, it was eliminated as public health problem, which we define as less than 1 case per 10,000 people.
The drugs for leprosy initially was provided free of charge through the Nippon Foundations, of which she is the chair. In Culion, I think we are fortunate that most of the support of the Sasakawa Memorial Health Foundation, which is part of the Nippon Foundations under Mr. Sasakawa, is the preservations of leprosy history through the establishment of the Culion Museum and Archives. You know, the people, 80% of the people living here now are third or maybe fourth or fifth generations of the early settlers. The Sasakawa Foundations help in the projects of community in terms of education for scholarships, livelihood programs, and others.
Over the past 4 decades, I visited about 120 countries and regions for leprosy elimination activities. 518 trips in total. Sometimes I visit several countries in one trip. In all, I've spent more than 3,000 days on these trips, or more than 10 years outside Japan. On these visits, I meet with the country's leaders and request top-down action to deal with the disease.
Without the passion and hard work of Mr. Sasakawa over many years, we could not have made such a progress. He has dedicated his life and used his considerable influence to advocate on behalf of people with leprosy and advance progress towards eliminations around the world.